everybody, this is Gokai Spartan. I'm just making a video to update y'all on my progress on Shattered Grid, Redux, and Flawless Military. If you're new to this channel and you love Power Rangers and have been slightly disappointed with the trajectory of Power Rangers have been since the Neo Saban era, I would highly suggest that you check out my videos because I make content for Power Rangers and Game of Thrones and various other franchises. Basically have a multiverse going on, but right now I've been focused on my Shattered Grid project because a couple of months ago I made a Shattered Grid Redux trailer in which I said I was going to make a Shattered Grid project. Now I wasn't working on that initially. I was initially working on my Flawless Military project. I had something going on with the Long Night, but I decided to pivot and work on the Lord Draken project instead. Although I still do plan on continuing the Long Night and all the other things I have in Flawless Military, they will be continuing alongside the Shattered Grid Redux project. My main reason for wanting to do this Redux project is because I have not seen nobody really cover Shattered Grid that much. Like Hasbro had every opportunity to give us a version of that. They didn't do it. I don't trust the newer Power Rangers to do it correctly or at all due to the fact that y'all gave me Mega Force, Cosmic Fury, and Inkworth for years, and I feel like, as Power Ranger fans, this is how it feels like being a Power Ranger fan. It feels like going to the cafeteria and eating square pizza and milk every day. When you look at other tables, like the One Piece table, these niggas, they eating gourmet, they eating steak, they eating lobster, they eating whole chickens. You look at the Game of Thrones table, well, their table ain't eating much right now, but they still got some takeout. They still got the takeout pizza. You got to eat the school pizza. Game of Thrones they get real pizza. And it's like that. I feel like that with a lot of franchises that we've been starving for years. And what's been keeping me satiated, like I keep saying, the main thing that's been keeping me satiated is these fan projects online, the comic books, and Tokusatsu. Those are the three things that's been keeping me satiated as a Power Ranger fan. Because the Boom Studios comic books, they get it right every single time. And I plan on covering most, if not all of those stories on my channel in some sort of way. I love the Boom Studios comic books. As Tokusatsu, they get it right all the time. The thing is, there's so much Tokusatsu to consume, and it's different. It's different now that I'm creating this project. I used to have a little bit more time to watch stuff, but now that I'm making the project, my time is split between work, real life, this project, and trying to catch up on shows. That's 4 things. So it's like, I'm still going to try to watch it. Like right now, I'm in the middle of watching Kamen Rider Saber because like I said, I am a villain. I'm a villains guy. So I was looking at the episode of Saber. Like what I generally like to do when watching some Super Sentai or some Kamen Rider, I don't usually start from episode 1. Well, I'll start from episode 1 if I like it, but I'll go to an episode in between just to see if it's any good. Like I'll go to episode 15, episode 20, just to see what's going on. And when I went to episode 20 of Saber, and they had like this dude who was transformed into like this kingly looking monster, and he was just creating, it's like he had some type of OCD where he was stacking cars on top of each other and shit. And then they had these evil generals, and all of them niggas look badass as fuck. And I started looking at the catalog, I'm like, wait a minute. So I had to start Kamen Rider Saber from episode 1. Now, to give y'all some context, the last Kamen Rider season I saw was Kamen Rider Zeo. That's the season where he's kind of like Decade, but instead of turning into every Kamen Rider, he turns into like a Kamen Rider battleizer. So that's the last Kamen Rider season that I actually watched in its entirety. And I need to rewatch it because I don't necessarily remember every single thing that happened in there. I know that that Zeo, there was a Zeo in the future that I think he took over all of the Kamen Riders or something. He and the Zeo in the past didn't want to grow up to him. There was this dude named Waz. He had an alternate version of himself, but he was broken because he had this book where he could just write shit in there and the shit just happened. I'm like, yo, nah, bro. Now Kamen Rider was broken, and then there was Kamen Rider Gates. I think he was the secondary writer. Like every Kamen Rider, like we get less. Sometimes we get more writers than we have a team of Power Rangers. Like in Saber's case, there's like at least 10, 20 of the niggas. But sometimes we'll get like 4, maybe 5, maybe 6. So from what there was way more. And the thing I liked about Kamen Rider Zeo was after they finished gaining all of the powers from the Heisei era Kamen Rider, they had to make up new Kamen Riders. Like there was a question mark Kamen Rider and all these weird themed Kamen Riders, and I thought that was pretty dope. But anyway, let me talk about my creative process when it came to making Shattered Grid Redux. Now, in order for me to make this happen, it needs to start at somewhere. And I thought the perfect place for this to start was the day that Draken became Draken. the day that he became evil, the day that the command center got attacked by Rita's forces. Here on this channel, we are a multiverse channel. We do crossover things over here. So even when I'm doing something with Power Rangers, you're gonna see other things from other Power Rangers, because that's how my brain works. In my world, in my mind, this world is gigantic and it's interconnected. So alright, so for instance, the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, you gotta deal with evil version of Tommy, you gotta deal with Rita. In my universe, the Flawless Military Universe, I have an organization known as the Galactic Crash Outs, which they're basically monsters of the day, but they're the opposite of how a monster of the day is supposed to operate. Usually a monster of the day is supposed to show up, cause havoc, the Rangers lose to their powers a little bit, they dip, they learn how to fight the monster, they come back, they beat them, and the monster get big, and they get into their robot, and they blow them up again. That's how that's supposed to go. No. The way my monsters of the day work, the Galactic Crash Out, they show up, they obliterate everything in sight, they destroy anything that stands before them, and 90% of the time, they're going to walk away with a cash out. Because that's why they do what they do, because they're getting paid a lot of money to accomplish this goal. So they want to accomplish this goal at all costs. So even in a universe like the Coin List, if I was to cover it in my Redux, the Galactic Crash House would exist in some capacity. That's why I did a lot of color swaps for a lot of characters, but that's an alternate universe. So I figured, yeah, they exist, but they don't have to exactly look the same. Whereas for like Rita, Zed, and Rita's Army, they already in the Coin List, because they're already in the Boom Studios comic books. Like, if this was an original story, I would have color swapped everybody, but those characters were already there, so I decided not to color swap them. Andros and Eclipta. Now, the thing is, there was a comic book with the Ranger Slayer in it, and where she had to fight a female variant of Eclipta, and they used the powers of the Morphin Grid to get more civilians, and they jumped this Eclipta. It was an ultimate fight back moment for Eclipta, and she just couldn't fight all of those people. And then they showed us an evil Andros, and they never did nothing with it. So I just decided it would be good to have Rita to have some backup forces, just in case the other Power Rangers were to get involved. Because the thing about Power Rangers is it's a series that's contained mostly to its one franchise. Mighty Morphin deals with Mighty Morphin, Space deals with Space, Samurai deals with Samurai. But here, I don't have to live by those limitations. No. The Samurai Rangers might have to want to fight the Overdrive villains, or maybe the Aquatar Rangers may want to fight the Time Force villains, or maybe the Orgs might want to scrap with the Ninja Storm Rangers instead of the Wild Force Rangers. We cross over each other's villains over here and each other's heroes. So I wanted to introduce Andros as evil and Eclipta. Now in the comic books, Eclipta was this female variant of Eclipta was a solo agent, but from what I know of Eclipta is an obedient servant of Andros. So I figured this dynamic would be similar to Astronomer and Eclipta's dynamic, just gender swapped. So now the SPA team, because in the comic books around this time, a version of SPD does exist. You gotta remember, Cat Minx and Dogi Kruger, they're like hundreds of years old. So the thing about alien characters is we don't necessarily have to like leave them on a different timeline, because alien characters age so slowly, like you can put them in different eras. So Dogi Kruger, he has an era of Rangers there. There's Tristan Tate, was basically Sky Tate's father. The reason why they have Time Force helmets and A-Squad bodies is because when Power Rangers SPD made the Time Force, when they made Sky Tate's father, they just gave him a Time Force outfit, and like any Power Ranger fan could just see and be like, hey, that's just Time Force. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to give them a specific uniform, so like we could see the transition on the helmets and the power sets. Like they don't even have confinement mode, they're dealing with like the most basic technology of a Space Ranger. Since this is Caron's story, since Caron is the good one instead of Andros, because Andros was a solo agent after Zang died and he lost his space team. Yeah, they had another space team that was in the comic books. There was a group of Space Rangers that raised him and Zang. But he lost those teams and he was a solo agent. He was looking for Caron this entire time. Whereas Caron doesn't necessarily need to operate the same way Andros does. She doesn't need to be solo. Maybe she joins an organization. Maybe she gets help from other people that are in space in the galaxy, such as SPD or SPA. And the Altarian, I didn't even give some of these characters names, because like I didn't plan on, they weren't going to stick around that long. But I wanted to put an Altarian there because the Altarians are incredibly essential to the Power Ranger mythos. That's Zordon's home planet. That's where Zordon and Zardes and all those characters come from the Boom Studios comic books. I love the Altarian art. I may do something with that too. Now we get to Samurai. Now, the Samurai team, at least from what I understand, because it's been a while since I watched Power Rangers Samurai, I will literally just rewatch Shinkenja, because it's the same thing, it's just Asian. I mean, it's just Japanese. It's just Japanese. It's the same thing. The reason why is because Samurai is just a loose copy of Shinkenja. So the way I look at it is, okay, they more than likely had generations of Power Rangers. I don't know how many generations they had before Jaden Shiba's father, the glorious King Jaden Shiba. I don't have no idea how many generations they had before that. But in Shinkenja, I remember they were on like the 18th generation, so I decided to make this the 17th generation of Samurai. Now, be it that this is an alternate universe, things can be different. Decker is a warrior who wants to fight a fair fight with the Red Ranger at all costs. Ricardo Medina is also a person who does villainous activities in real life. I don't necessarily like Ricardo Medina or that story because I have my own suspicions on it. So I wanted to change Decker's character entirely. That's not Ricardo. This variant of Decker isn't like, because I plan on covering the Samurai storyline in the Coinless universe. This variant of Decker isn't Ricardo Medina. I have no idea who it's going to be. I might make him a black guy. He might just be Peter Baelish because that's the voice that I gave him. Because I like Baelish. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a Littlefinger Glazer. Like Ranger Toa is a Jaden Shiba Glazer. I am a Peter Baelish Glazer. So, and I'm a Uchiha Glazer as well. So, I like Baelish, and I wanted to find a way to put him in the video, and I couldn't do that because it's not Game of Thrones, it's Power Rangers. So I'm like, alright, I'll just make an alternate I'll just make a treacherous version of Decker and just give him his voice. And then that works for me. And this version of Decker is a traitor. Instead of being a solo agent who only wants to fight the Red Ranger, no, he's working with Sereda. He's making phone calls to the Zang Empire to make sure these Samurai Rangers are done for. Like, nah, this version of Decker is completely different. In the Zang Empire, the only Megaforce Ranger that is left on the battlefield to fight is Robo Knight. And Robo Knight has his hands busy with Pumpkin Wrapper. So, there's no Megaforce for them to fight. The Pirate Raid don't exist yet. Who do the Zangief Empire fight? Who are their enemies? Who are their ops? They're an empire that's trying to take over the galaxy. There's many of those going on. So they could just be an extra force to wipe out whatever force is there. Now that we don't have a team of our own, we're subjected to smoke with any other team that's willing to it. Who's this, Sereda? Hey, Sereda, what's up? Yeah, this is Arceus Gill. Don't worry. Don't ask why I sound like Bruce Bolton from Game of Thrones. All I'm going, oh, y'all need us to pull up on Earth? Y'all need a job done? Copy. That's basically how that went with the Zangief Empire, because like I said, they don't have the Megaforce or the Pirate Raid to fight in the future. So they're too busy in the future. They're not in this timeline, and those aliens still exist because aliens fucking age slow as shit. So like they can still pull up and fuck your planet up, and the niggas that's supposed to protect you can't protect you because they aren't even born yet. Now when it came to the battle itself, I had to put my Squid Duo in there in order for me to get the motivation to make this video in the first place. Because I love Ikage and Madoko. I thought Rogexia would be the pillar of this channel. Shit, I thought it would be Madara or Baelish. But I honestly feel like for me it's Ikage and Madoko. Like, I feel like I do my best work when I use those characters specifically. So, I decided to color swap them because these are different variants of them. I did the same for Virgo as well, because she would exist as well in this universe. All of the Galactic Crash House would exist, and they probably all just be color swap versions, just like the Zangief Empire. There was a couple of monsters that I put in here: Pumpkin Wrapper, Skullhead, Rito, Revolto. There were a couple of them that was in the battlefield. But mostly, I just wanted to retell the story, because in the story of the Boom Studios, when Rita attacks those forces, I think the Aquatar Rangers is there, the Blue Centurion is there, the Phantom Ranger is there. They're all there, and they all get smoked. They all get bodied. That story was a tale of the death of the Power Rangers in that universe. That's why that universe is called the Pointless, because Tommy and Rita and her forces eradicate everything, and they take the power coins. But the thing I did differently was Billy was the only one out of the Mighty Morphin. The thing is, with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, it's hard for me to just one-shot some of them, bro, because I love these niggas, bro. But in the comic books, Billy was the one that passed away. He was the one that passed away, and he did protect the Trini. So that's what I decided to go with on this one. Have it that way, because that's how it went in the comics. And for Draken, instead of, like, yeah, he was attacking the Rangers pretty harshly, but some of them he didn't kill. Like, he just controlled Kimberly. He left Zack and Trini to their own devices and just removed their power coins. So that's because a part of Draken still cares about his team. That's why they're not dead. If he really was evil, he would have just been like Ikage and Madoko and obliterating everybody without no mercy. But he is evil, but he's more of an evil. He wants control. That's why he wants to hack the morphin grid and give all of these powers to random people so he can build out an army. In the future, as I do these Redux episodes, the scientists Dexter and Beatrice will appear because they got the idea to hack the morphin grid from Draken. So their story could be somewhat told simultaneously, although they won't be the centerpiece because I want to focus more on Power Rangers for the Shattered Grid Redux. The Flawless Military is a multiverse that includes everything I could think of, whereas Shattered Grid Redux is mostly just Power Rangers and Kamen Rider stuff. Now, as for like the voice acting, because I voice act most of these characters. Yes, I use the AI voices for a good majority of these characters, but when I first started this project, once I started getting to the villains, I realized that my own voice works better for these villains than the AI voices. And hell, my own voice works better for a lot of characters. So this project is just another way for me to also showcase my voice acting talents. I decided to voice act Jason David Frank myself because like I've been voice acting. To be honest, guys, I've been doing this. I've been trying to mimic his voice for 30 years, guys. I had 32 years of work experience doing JD's voice. So I decided to put that to the test. And maybe I don't sound exactly like him, like I'm pretty sure, but I know I could do his I know I could do his battle cries. Like I've been doing Tommy for quite some time. Since I was little playing with toys and I got older, I still perfected many different voice acting, added many different voices to my repertoire. But yeah, I wanted to voice act Tommy myself because I said if I'm ever going to do a project with Draken, I have to voice him, period. So that's what's going on there. Now, what's going to happen in the future, because the episode essentially ended with the beginning of the Boom Studios comic books, whereas Draken sent his Black Dragon to deal with the Rangers. Now, next episode, I don't necessarily, like I said, I do these things as I go along. So it's either going to be from the perspective of the Rangers or from the perspective of the Coinless, because I can always elaborate on what's going on in the Coinless universe. The Coinless universe is an interesting one because it's like this big universe that doesn't have Power Rangers, but all of the villains are still around and doing shit. It's kind of like my Flawless Military universe, with the exception that the Power Rangers still have their fucking powers. Almost like the difference is there's more power in my Flawless Military universe to fight these villains. We have the Flawless Military and we have the Power Rangers, but in the Coinless universe there is no Power Rangers. Now, whereas if the Flawless Military exists in the Coinless universe, that remains to be seen, because I don't necessarily know if I would make a different version of Rogexiel or Madara, or if Rogexiel is just so powerful that she just crosses dimensions, period, that it would only be one. I'm not sure how I would want to write that yet. So I'm going to not put too much of the Flawless Military on the Coinless universe. But when we get back to the Mighty Morphin universe, like Beatrice, Dexter, and at least Rogexiel might appear. The Nobody's Organization 13, there's no need for me to put them in the storyline until like I do some Flawless Military shit. Same goes for the members of the Akatsuki. And Rick and Morty as well, because they're in the fucking Flawless Military too. Shit, we got everybody. Only thing we don't got is like the Justice League, X-Men. They're still their own thing, but we got like Organization 13, the Akatsuki, Rick Sanchez. I feel like that's enough. And like with people like Rogexiel and Madara and Dexter, like those LP is fuck, that's enough. But the thing is, like now, so basically, I'm also working on my Flawless Military episode 2, because I remember I made a tribute video for Tommy for Jason David Frank, because I wanted to do a send-off to the character essentially. But Chadwick Boseman said something that was very impactful to me. Chadwick Boseman said, if I were to ever not be here no more, just recast the character. So when I made the story, there was a send-off, but at the same time it wasn't. Because I put Tommy's character on an island with one of the 3 goddesses, Rogexiel's sister, Rihanna, the mother of animals, nature, and beasts. He's there, he's trying to gain his strength back because he was damaged in the explosion and stuff like that. So throughout this entire time, with the Flawless Military hacking the Morphin Grid, Star Force being formed, Dual Ranger being formed, the Galactic Crash House laying waste to all of the Ranger teams, the Akatsuki spinning the block on the Harbingers of Doom. The entire time that storyline was going on, Tommy was in Planet Nirvana with Rihanna. Now, if Tommy's in Planet Nirvana with Rihanna, where's Draken? That remains to be seen. And you will see with Draken, I did make a post where I have him with Ikagen and Madoka in Ikagen's Ranger Vault, but I still remain to be seen exactly what I want to do with Draken, or if I might even include him just yet. So hold your tongue for when it comes for Draken in the Flawless Military Universe. But as for the Shattered Grid Redux universe, that is his tale, so he's going to be full scented there. But anyway, I'm about to cut this video short. This video is getting rather long. I just wanted to update you guys on my progress. And if you guys like any of my content, please feel free to like, subscribe, and please comment under the comment section and share your opinions. They mean a lot to me. I understand that I use AI tools to create my work, but to be honest, I've been trying to get a team of people together and it hasn't happened. So I just decided to just learn how to use AI, use my own voice acting talents, and try to make the stories that I want. And try to give a little bit back to the Power Ranger community, because I know we're starving out here. I know there's people that want to see the Boom Studios comic stories. I know there's people that want to see crossover stories. And if you guys have any suggestions or anything that you want me to cover or anything, I don't like I said, guys, I'm more than just a Power Ranger fan, bro. I like Digimon, I like Pokemon, I like Dragon Ball, Naruto, One Piece. I don't fuck with Bleach like that, but I could do something with Bleach. Like I like a lot of things. Game of Thrones, True Blood, Spider-Kids, WWE. I'm a huge wrestling fan. Why you think I call Pexio Mommy? A huge wrestling fan. I've been more into the wrestling lately, especially with John Cena's current heel run. John Cena's current heel run made me come back to wrestling a little bit, but I was still here before that, because I was here when The Rock turned heel. All my freaking favorite wrestlers are turning heel all of a sudden. Even Triple H is turning heel in a different way, because the entire wrestling community is mad. They all saying that nigga can't book for nothing. They just say, oh, Triple H, Paul Levesque. I've never seen so many people call Triple H by his government name. Paul Levesque! Like, I've never seen so many people call him like that. I'm like, damn, bro. Triple H, you must have made people really upset for people to say your government name with that much bass in their voice. But anyway, like I said, I'm going to cut this short. If you like any of my content, anything I have to say, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Enjoy your day and stay blessed.